Our next section, solving quadratic equations by completing the square. So, in this section, we're looking at quadratic equations. And remember, what makes a quadratic equation is the power of 2, the exponent. This is the standard form for quadratic equation. And because the highest power is 2, it makes it quadratic. Our graph, if you were to graph it, would be what's called a U-shaped graph, or we call it a parabola. There are several ways that we can solve a quadratic equation. First way is by factoring. And if factoring doesn't work, then we would try completing the square or using the quadratic equation. So I want to take a look at this example that I have here. We have x squared is equal to 25. My question to you is, what solution or solutions could we put in here for x that when we square it would give us 25? Well, one solution would be positive 5, because we know 5 squared is 25. The other solution, x can equal to negative 5, because the quantity of negative 5 squared is 25. Okay, so we have two solutions. So now we're going to, in this section, we're taking a look at the square root property. We're going to work backwards. Okay, so as we work backwards, when I say backwards, remember we talked about how to solve a radical equation, where you had an equation that had a radical, and then to get rid of that radical, or to negate that radical, we have to raise that radical to whatever the index happens to be in that question. If the index was 2, we will raise both sides by 2. If the index was 3, we will raise both sides, the index, by 3. So here, this time, you have a power. And what would negate a power is applying its square root, or its root. If our power is 2, to negate the power of 2, we take the square root. If our power is 3, to negate the 3, we raise both sides by the cube root. Okay, so take a note that as we look at the square root property, you're going to have two solutions. A plus, a positive solution, and a negative solution. So let's take a look at example 1a. It says here, use the square root property to solve each equation. So we have here x squared is equal to 49. To solve this equation, because we have the exponent of 2, we're going to take the square root to both sides. So on the left hand side, the square root and exponent of 2 cancels out. We have x is equal to, and then on the right hand side, we're taking the square root of plus or minus, because we're going to have two solutions, 49, and the square root of 49 is 7, so our solution is plus or minus 7. Okay, now I know a lot of us in this class, we're using my math lab, so remember, when you put your solution in, you're going to put it in as separate integers, a positive 7 and a negative 7. B, we have here y squared is equal to 20. We're going to take the square root to both sides. We have y is equal to plus or minus, now 20. 20 is not a perfect square number. Therefore, we're going to have to find factors of 20. One of its factors is a perfect square. We have 4 times 5. Take the square root of 4. That is 2. Bring the 2 on the outside. So our solution is y is equal to plus or minus 2 square root of 5. Letter C. We have here 2x squared minus 4 equals to 0. We want to isolate the x squared. Okay, so let's go to the rules. How to solve a quadratic equation using square root property. Isolate the expression containing the square term. Use the square root property. Isolate the variable if necessary. Check your solutions. So we're going to add 4 to both sides. We have 2x squared is equal to 4. Then we're going to divide by 2. We have x squared is equal to 2. Then to solve for x, we're going to take the square root to both sides. And we have x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 2. There are no other factors for 2 other than 1 and 2, so 2 stays under the radical sign.